Scene 24, take 13.
Downtown, this area where the train came, this was the end of a line. So a lot of people that would get off the trains would sort of just filter out, find places around here to eat or a hotel because it was the end of the line. This corner of Traction and Hewitt, it's almost like the Bermuda Triangle. It just pulses. There are so many photo shoots, videos, there's so many movies filmed here, there's so many bands that come here, there's been so many art events that have been here and go on to this day. The central place where everyone seemed to meet was Al's Bar, below the hotel. It was a punk rock club that had a draw for all the seminal bands throughout California and ultimately throughout the United States. I called it CBGB's West. And in a sense, the hotel was a Chelsea Hotel West. It was this really creative hotbed of art and music and film. You had all these new burgeoning artists coming together to have a beer or a glass of wine and exchange ideas. I remember seeing serious artists like Woods Davey, Roger Herman, David Amico, Jet Jackson, Mike Kelly, so many people that have gone on into the art world that have really expanded the LA history. I can describe it with the movie The Wizard of Oz. Dorothy opens the door in this Technicolor world. It's just this whole magical environment. Al's Bar looked nothing like Oz, but it was a bohemian dream. It looked like a speakeasy. You had a little porthole. There was no way for you to know if you were driving by what was going on inside. Once you opened up the door, like a 1920s nightclub raging, it was a 1980s punk rock art world den of iniquity. There were people making out by booths. There were people on the patio smoking pot. There were bands blisteringly loud playing punk rock music. There was a photo booth. And people were going in and out and laughing and drinking, and the pool games were going. It was loud. Nothing was civilized or refined. It was a completely wild zone.
There was a club called Al's Bar, where rock and rollers came from near and far, right in the heart of downtown LA. Bands from all over came there to play. You'd hear the jukebox rock and smell the patio pot. Pass it to me. Sexy Stacy was behind the bar. Big Cliff at the door, behind wailing guitars. Al's Bar, Al's Bar, a rock and roll dive. Tip or die, and you'll know you've arrived. Al's Bar, Al's Bar, yeah!
You had people from all over coming here, and it really made this special area. Cliff was great. Cliff was 6'6", 6'8", huge guy who had been a former Globetrotter, great basketball athlete, and he was a gentle giant. I remember his words to guys that were getting out of line. Excuse me, you need to leave. And that's all it pretty much took, because when you realized that you were looking at this mountain of a guy, most people got the message, maybe I should leave. Don was the epitome of a bohemian, elegantly decadent. Don would come down in the morning from the hotel with a silk bathrobe, like Hugh Hefner. I remember the day that I turned the corner and there he was on all this sand. Don had brought it in through truckloads, and it was Don Jones Beach. We were all having beach day downtown. It always felt like you were in an event with Don present. Joel Bloom from Chicago, a real political activist. Joel had a heart of gold. He was a softie, but you'd never know it. He was trying to be the most gruff character that had walked the face of downtown. What do you want? Get out of here. He was just this character. But I remember I came downstairs the day that Joel was about to open up his store, and I said, Joel, you don't have any coffee. Yeah, so? I said, you need coffee, Joel. I had just gotten a Mr. Coffee as a Christmas present. I said, you know what? I'm going to get you started. Here's my gift to Bloom's General Store. So I gave him my Mr. Coffee, and we had coffee for like $1. Not quite Starbucks. George Zarvis, a long-time neighborhood resident, someone who had been here before any of us. He lived in the hotel. He was the maintenance man. At the same time that George was very elderly, he was incredibly strong. I would see him take garbage cans full of trash and just whisk them over and put them down, and could do that all day. We became very close friends. He told me some wild stories where he was the driver in stick-ups. He goes, yeah, I was the wheelman. George wouldn't go in with the gun, but he would be right there to get the guys in the car to take them out of whatever heist was going on. He also had a woman who lived in the room named Jenny Zarvis, but she was one of those people who constantly, 24/7, lived in her bed. You rarely saw her, and George made sure that she was taken care of. I'm living at the American, and I'm out of the Babylon Warriors. And I was really taking a musical break. And then I met some other musicians here in the hotel. They were Cal Arts jazz musicians. And one of the guys, Rick Cox, works with Tom Newman scoring films now. Another guy, Ron Schneck. The three of us just sort of jammed a little bit, and Rick said, I can get some other guys. I know we could play some parties. Before you know it, we had a 13-piece group. The name was Barbed Wire. Four horns. Dale Turner from Oingo Boingo came over on trombone. And then Russell Conlon, Ron Schneck, and Rick Cox filled out the horn section. Mike Fink, our bass player, was laying it down. And a lot of the bass lines were bass lines that I had come up with. And we had a Hammond B3 organ. And then we also had a percussionist and 2 guitars, myself and another guitarist. We had 3 backup girl singers. And we played at the Cotton Exchange with Fishbone, and we tore it up. It was a wild night. Homeless people in the street were rocking out, as was the whole crowd in the parking lot. I had club owners, the Anti-Club, the On Club, all say to us that you can play here any weekend you want. And one guy said, I think you're like a reggae orchestra. The Devil Dogs. Alberto Miares, Fred Anchondo, and myself, we were this power trio doing blues rock. It was a hit. And we were playing at all the parties and the street scenes. We played at Little Pedro's. We played at Al's Bar. We were known as the local favorites, I think, for a while there.
Flame high, not gonna die.
That band will still continue to exist. It's had some changing members, but I have a lot of new material now that I'm getting ready to have the newest incarnation. It could be a Wednesday night, and I would walk into the hotel, and there would be doors open with parties going on every floor. and people playing electric guitars. And this would be at 11, 12 o'clock at night. It was like a wild Friday night on a Wednesday night. Wild times. I walked across Stevie Casual as he's passed out in the hall at midnight and saw him there in the morning. Mike Gonzalez would be shooting up heroin and storming the halls, neighing like a donkey. Then I'd walk down around the corner and see a barnyard. Melissa with all her animals. There was a rooster, there was a cat, there was a little dog. There was a girl named Beatrice. She'd be singing her opera. It was a little bit like Cuckoo's Nest. But there were so many different waves, the way the American Hotel was. Different people, different vibes. It was nice to be able to sort of see it all go by. The one constant that we know is change. There was an art scene really early on in Pasadena, and then there was an art scene in Venice, California, and then it came to downtown LA. It still is a very strong, entrenched world here, but it's become gentrified, and you have families and dogs waltzing through and going to little shops and little restaurants. These people would have been mugged in the past, and now they're the dominant force, and it feels like a mini Melrose. You have things like the Art Walk, where it started with people who were seriously looking at new artists. Now I call it Artie Gras. It's a pub crawl. It's an excuse to go drinking, as opposed to really looking at new art and looking at new artists and seeing what their work is about. So if you can accept, and I do, the changing of downtown, you're going with the grain of the wood. You're going with the flow. Tombstone and Dodge City during their times were just wild, crazy towns. With the Arts District back in the day, it was like Dodge City. And now it feels more like a museum, talking about what happened here years ago. This is where Wyatt Earp used to burp. And as far as the American Hotel, I think that the building, as old as it is, will still stand if the new owners have enough respect to keep it as it is and don't try to change it into condos or upscale hotel. Hopefully that won't happen. And it's such a historical spot, having had so many talents pass through these halls, that my gut feeling is thumbs up in the future.
Cut.
A lot's changed. The pandemic, of course, COVID-19 being the real game changer. The hotel's temporarily closed. Only 9 of us are still long-term residents thanks to our cool owner, Mark Verge. COVID-19 made the neighborhood like a ghost town. Now it's coming back. It looks like it's in the rearview mirror. I myself am a musician, and I'm still doing it, and I'll do it till I drop. I got that from seeing Muddy Waters and Howling Wolf. These guys didn't say, "Oh, I've got to stop, I'm too old." Fuck that. I'm gonna rock till I drop. As the downtown story plays out with the American Hotel in the background. Peace out.